So Milo, tell me, what exactly is ICT trading?
So ICT trading is a form of trading which is a little bit different to the normal regular trading where people trade supply and demand, they trade indicators. Personally, for me, it has never been profitable. I mean, I was personally trading using them techniques for multiple years and I wasn't making a single penny. And it actually came to a point when I was almost about to give up on trading. I was at the point in trading where I was like, this is not working for me. I had a little lucky run in 2020 off crypto. That's what originally got me into trading. And from that, I was like, yeah, trading's for me. And then it wasn't making money for like 2 years. And then for some reason, I just stumbled across someone on YouTube called Inner Circle Trader. He's also come across as the name Michael J. Huddison. That's his official name. And it was in 2021. So he actually just released the Market Maker series. And I studied the whole of the Market Maker series and it just instantly clicked. And then literally 2 months later, he dropped the 2022 mentorship where every single day he was dropping a new video, and it's basically a 41 episodes of the 2022 mentorship. And I studied the whole thing. And after around 6 months, because of my prior trading experience, I was able to really, actually, it was clicking for me and I secured my first payout. But after that, I had around 4 months, so I was really slipping up. And because of the first payout, I almost thought I was invincible. I thought that I could take any trade. I thought I could trade any macro, any setup I seen, I was taking it. And that really was my downfall for around 4 months. And I was still working at the time. I was just working a warehouse job, normal, regular. I mean, I secured a payout of $10,000. That was my first initial payout. And I was feeling like the god of the markets at the time. And for 4 months, I didn't secure a single payout. And then after the 4th month, I sat down and I scrapped everything I was doing. I worked out where I was going wrong, and the way I did that, I was using a software called TradeZeller. It's like $30 a month. You can use TradeZeller, and it basically gives you your win rate, where you're slipping up, your R multiple, and I basically scrapped the London session, the PM last hour macro, and I cut it down all the way to 3 macros, and I take maximum of 2 trades a day. But I don't take 2 trades a day. If the first trade is a winning trade, done for the day. If the first trade is a losing trade, we approach the next macro, considering it's the first AM macro, we approach the second macro with half position size, not the full position size, and so on and so forth. We're not going to force a trade. We're looking for A+ setups only, but that is where I started with ICT trading.
So you would say that ICT trading is the best way to trade overall over anything else?
I personally wouldn't say that. I mean, everyone is completely different. So it depends on your trading style and or basically mental clarity, because trading isn't for everyone at the end of the day. I've had people message me and friends message me. Of course, when you start making money, everyone wants to make money. And they approach trading as almost a get-rich-quick scheme. They think they can just make money. But it takes years and years and years. And the way I actually approach people with trading and explain it, it's like going to a surgeon and saying, you know what, next week, I want to start cutting open someone's leg and being a surgeon as well. Yeah. And it's not like that. So it's really going to take you a lot of time. And even when you have learnt the technicals, you're going to be battling with the emotional side of trading for almost a year, 2 years. And some people never get over it because they personally cannot get over it. And it's a big struggle for them.
So if you had to go back in time when you first started trading compared to what you know now, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't do anything differently. Personally, I think it was all a massive learning curve. But personally, I would have a lot more patience and discipline, because when I first approached trading, I was in a point of time where I was very stressed. I didn't like my job. I was working in a warehouse doing 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. And I was at a point where I was approaching trading, thinking that I can take any trade and just let's get some money in so I can put the job to the side for now and then focus on trading. But you can't do that. You're going to blow your accounts. I've blown so many accounts when I was new to trading. And especially after that 4-month period when I got that first initial payout, because prior to the first initial payout, my trading was impeccable. I was taking 1 to 2 trades a day. I was sticking to the rules. And it was only after that first payout initially when everything went south. And then the second payout came in, and that's when I actually officially quit my job. And I went full-time on trading. And that was around late 2022. And then 2023, I really started to build my capital. I have 2 prop firms, which I use as Apex Trader funding. I don't really recommend them that much. I'll explain in a little bit why. Top Step is the second prop firm, FTMO. And I also run a live account at the same time as well. Managing all of the accounts and trading them all at the same time is not something I recommend, but I manage 2 to 3 accounts at once. Usually 2. I have a trading setup where I would execute on my laptop, and I have a monitor on the other side to monitor the charts, and people watch me live stream every day. I post the live streams all of the time, not like these other traders in Miami who claim that they make money from trading and they really don't make any money. I'm live streaming every day. I put it all out there, very transparent.
So how long do you realistically think it takes to become successful at ICT trading?
You can't rush it, you know? It's not something that you can force. And if it doesn't come to you, it doesn't come to you. Some people will never get there. And there's so many unrealistic expectations on social media of trading saying that they have 83% win rates, 90% win rates, all turning $1,000 or $100 into $1 million. It is unrealistic and it's not going to happen. Even expecting to turn $1,000 into $2,000 in 1 year, that's even unrealistic in itself, you know? And you have to take and approach it very slow and understand it's going to take longer than you think. But a realistic time plan, I would say, if you have prior trading experience, you've been trading for years, but you've been unprofitable, and you approach ICT, you study the 2022 mentorship, and you really lock in. I'm not saying you're watching one video a week. You're watching the 2022 multiple times, but there's much more in the 2022 mentorship that you're going to have to learn afterwards, which he doesn't explain. I personally break down ICT on my channel, all for free. I don't charge any course. I don't plan to, and I don't intend to in the future. However, if you do, then you want to keep studying ICT, trade a demo account for 3 months. Prove to yourself you can really make money. Prove to yourself you're actually profitable. And then when you actually do prove to yourself, switch over to the prop firm account, start an evaluation, start building your capital. And it will take you 6 months, a year, 2 years. And that's when you'll see the results.
So I just started, let's say I'm starting tomorrow. What are some steps to just start learning? Where should I learn? What should I start doing? Like the very, very beginning stages.
The beginning stages, if you was very, very new to trading, I mean, I would just learn the basic terminology of trading, such as trends, candlesticks, wicks, bodies. You don't want to start with ICT. It's more of a developed trader kind of approach to trading, but you really want to learn the basics, and that's in itself going to take you 6 months just to learn the basics, such as candlesticks, what a trend is, and just the basics. Once you know the basics, then I would say approach the 2022 mentorship with ICT. It's completely free. It's all on YouTube for free. You can search it up, Inner Circle Trader. I don't want anyone to learn from me. I'll direct them to ICT. I do live stream myself on YouTube, so that is a possibility, but I recommend learning with 2022 first. Get an understanding, because if you listen to me, especially even on this podcast, and you don't know ICT, you're probably going to have a little trouble understanding what I'm actually saying in this podcast.
So do you trade all macros?
So personally, I don't trade all the macros, and this is where after my first payout, which I've already gone over, I was trading all of the macros. I was trading the London session, the Asia session, the first AM macro, the second AM macro, the lunch, the first PM, and I'll explain shortly and briefly which macros I trade. So I trade the first AM macro, the second AM macro, and the PM. And the first AM macro runs from 9:45 AM Eastern Coast or New York local time to 10:15 AM. And then the second AM macro is at 10:45 AM to 11:15 AM. And then you got the PM macro, which is at 1:45 PM to 2:15 PM. So they're 30-minute windows. So it's the last 15 minutes and the first 15 minutes of each hour, and that there is macros of every hour, but the most high probability macros, which I personally trade, is them 3. And I highly recommend sticking to those and not trading any others. The reason for that is because when you trade the London session, I find if there is high impact news inside of that trading day, then you're basically initially trading before the high impact news has come out. You're trading the London session, therefore it's automatically low probability. And when you approach the New York AM macro, the key levels you want to mark out is London highs, London lows, and you want to look for relatively equal highs, relatively equal lows, and that's the major drawn liquidity for price inside of that AM macro.
So how many trades do you take a day right now currently?
The max amount of trades I take a day, if it is a winning trade, the first winning trade, I don't trade every day. Sometimes I go 3-4 days without taking a trade, and people asking me like they can't wait any longer, their patience is building up, and I'm happily sat there. If I do not see price offer me and tick all the confluences and requirements that I am looking for, I won't take a trade. I'll happily sit there and sit on my hands, because you have to think about it like this. If a poor setup is in front of you now, you know exactly what an A+ clean setup looks like. Why would you approach price and take a trade if you know in the near future you're going to get a very clean A+ setup? There's no point engaging with low probability when you know high probability is soon to come. And that is why patience is the key, and discipline, and knowing when you are in a trade that people also have an issue with closing out early or revenge trading. I get questions like that. How do you deal with revenge trading? It's very simple. You just don't do it. You take the trade, you accept the risk, and ask yourself this. I had this today on the live stream. Someone asked me this same question. They said, if I enter a trade and I'm up $1,000 or up $5,000, it doesn't matter regarding the dollar amount, but they instantly start to think, shall I close out here? Okay, ask yourself this before the trade. If you accepted a $2,500 risk and then you end up closing for a $2,000 profit, you've then executed the trade and closed out on a negative R multiple due to what? Your emotions. You see you're up, you accept the risk, you take the trade, you trail your stop. If the stop's valid, then you trail it, so on and so forth.
So do you think one of the biggest mistakes traders are making is just being too emotional?
Emotions is 70% of trading. A lot of traders, they will study, they will do the work, and then when it comes to trading and the emotional side of things, they start messing up. They can't manage their accounts. They get so close to a payout. I've seen so many traders get so close to getting paid out on prop firms, $100 off, $50 off. As soon as they're literally they're like, oh, I'm just going to take this trade, try get these highs, and then I'm in for a payout. And then they lose $500. And then they're like, oh, let's just make that $500 back. And they lose the whole account. 3, 4, even 2 months of work they've lost in a matter of an hour. All gone.
Can you talk about the importance of timing when it comes to trading?
Time always comes before price. I say this all the time to people because, for example, approaching the AM macro, when you're inside of the AM macro, 1 minute before or 2 minutes after, there may be the cleanest setup of your life. It's just swept London highs or equal highs. It's swept that short-term high. Buy stops have been swept. It's displaced through that short-term low. And you have confluences. You've had 10 a.m. news come out there, for example. And when 10 a.m. news does come out, which say is PMI usually or some sort of red folder news event such as that, there's 2 ways it can be. It's either going to be manipulation or it's going to be a displacement. And the displacement is valid as long as manipulation has occurred before and prior to 10 a.m. news. So let's just say there was a very clean setup and price is displaced at, let's just say, 10:15 a.m. The fair value gap occurs at 10:16 a.m. We're 1 minute outside of macro. Am I going to take the trade? No, because I'm following my rules. And even if it's 1 minute or 2 minutes or 30 seconds outside of macro, I don't take the trade. Very simple. I'll patiently wait for the 2nd a.m. macro or the PM. If there is no opportunities inside of that trading day, I won't take any trades. Time always comes before price.
Fire. So I'm curious, bro. Currently, right now, what are your payouts looking like?
Yeah, so I'm very transparent. I was in Medellin 1 week, 2 weeks ago, and I always post my payouts on social media. So literally just last week, I can show you guys. I'm not sure if the camera would pick it up, but I posted it, and it is on my Instagram as it currently speaks. It was a $37,000 payout. It was around last week on the Medellin balcony. Took a photo of the laptop. It was 5 top step 150k funded accounts. You can see the account numbers different. It was 3 8.1k payouts, 1 7k payout, and 1 6.4k payout as well. And realistically, getting a payout is really dependent on price action. You know, you could secure 1 payout a month, secure say 3 payouts a month, or none. It really depends on the month. I mean, the price action through the summer months tends to be a lot slower. And then as we're now in October, all the way through to April, the price action is a lot cleaner, a lot easier to trade, and a lot more volatile as we approach the winter months. And it's very, very nice to trade. Yeah. You get some very big, and also I must mention, many traders, especially the biggest traders in the world, they skip 6 months of the year, all the way from April, all the way to October and November. They skip them whole 6 months because it's automatically low probability. They trade them 6 months and they're done for the year. They take 8 to 12 trades a year. These people who say they're trading like 3 to 5 trades a day is completely unrealistic, and they're just straight scammers, you know?
Congratulations, by the way, on the 37K. What's your biggest trade you've ever done?
I wouldn't say I have a biggest trade. I mean, the biggest trade we've secured is 170 handles on NQ, which is 170 points. There is not really one of them trades, which is like, you know, people say, oh, it's a trade which changed my life, because I have good risk management and the wins are usually relatively the same within around $10,000. I mean, one trade could net me $60,000 and another trade could net me $20,000. It really depends on the trade, but biggest trades, $70,000, 55, 60,000.
Got it. So I'm curious, what does your day-to-day look like? Do you wake up and go start trading? Do you have a morning routine? How's your day-to-day look like right now?
Yeah, so it really does depend on the time zone. I have traded in California and it almost killed me because the market opens at around 6:30 a.m. So I'm getting up at 5:30. I usually tend to get up 1 hour prior to the market open at around 8:30 or around 8:10, about an hour and 20 minutes prior. I get straight to the computer. I start marking out on the 15-minute time frame. I start on the daily and I work my way down all the way to lower time frame, marking out the key levels, any imbalances, which price is going to draw to and look to fill. I work out a daily bias, and very important topic is daily bias. I don't personally run a daily bias, but I like to run in the back of my head that I'm looking for longs today. However, I'm open to both directions. So the way to approach this is, say you're starting on the daily time frame, you're marking out the key levels or even the 15-minute. You've marked out London highs, London lows. You're not always going to get it every single AM macro. You're not going to get them clean levels of London highs and lows, but even major highs, major lows. Also, the major highs with, say, a daily or higher time frame bearish imbalance, fair value gap above it, that's a major draw on liquidity.
So the people want to know, bro, you've obviously have made decent amount of money trading. What do you spend your money on?
What do I spend my money on?
Yeah.
I don't really spend money on too much, but there is a Nissan GTR R35 coming real soon. Nismo, definitely one of the cars I've been working towards, and I will be getting it in Miami 100%. I just need to secure the ESTA, because I am from London, so I struggle with staying in Miami longer than 3 months. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be getting an R35, and stage 3 remap is going to have a lot of brake. And anyone who thinks they can take me on the roads, I mean, good luck.
Well, what's the price of that car?
It's about $80,000, but the amount of work I'm going to do to it is going to be around 60, 80,000 again, on top. Because I'm going to be running around 1.5K brake on the car. So I mean, 4-wheel drive, Nissan GTR, one of the fastest cars you can get on the road, one of the loudest as well. Brickell's going to have a show.
It's going to be a fast motherfucker. So how's your money management?
Money management. That is a good question. I mean, a lot of people struggle with money management. They get money, especially if they was to secure their first payout, maybe their first taste of money, and they just blow it within a matter of weeks, and then they're left with nothing. So personally, I always never really struggle with money management. I use the 50-50 rule. 50% I spend like I'm going to die tomorrow. 50% I save and I invest it and stack it up. I use a crypto account called Binance, and I also use a crypto account called Ledger. I am moving away from Ledger because they are a crypto account where you can store your crypto in, but they've actually not really a hard wallet anymore. So I will be moving over to a different hard drive. However, I store the majority of the money in Binance and other crypto platforms. I don't really use my bank as much. I keep a stash in there just for daily spending. But Coinbase, Binance, using Ledger is definitely the way to go. But money management is very simple. Just 50% like you're going to die tomorrow, 50% saving.
So I'm curious, someone looking to get into ICT trading, should they do this as a part-time thing, or should they do this more full-time, or how many hours should someone put into this to really become successful?
It ultimately depends how bad you want it. I mean, people say they have issue with managing time, and if you have issues managing time, then you really have to make sure that you just make time for it. If work is the issue, then just cut your shifts down to 3-4 days a week where you can just about pay your rent. But then you got to think, do you want to work that job for the rest of your life, or do you actually want to go all at this, study as soon as you get back? Because when I was doing it personally, when I went all at this, I was doing around 3 to 4 shifts a week. Originally, I was doing 6 days a week of 12-hour shifts. I cut it down to 3 to 4 days a week. And every single day, I used to hit the gym in the morning, come back, and I was studying ICT all day. Even though I wasn't profitable for 6 to 7 months, I seen the vision, I seen what was possible, and I made it happen. And of course, after the first payout, even though I did think I was the god of the markets, I eventually came to terms and sorted things out. And everyone's different. You're going to have struggles. Everyone's going to have struggles with trading, but you have to work on that yourself.
So, bro, you actually have been doing it for a while now. You've been pretty successful at it. What's the end goal with ICT trading? Are you trying to, keep trading yourself for the rest of your life? Are you trying to do it for others, build something bigger? What's the goal?
The end goal for trading is literally you have to keep building your capital as time goes by. I mean, as of now, I'm on 4.15 million in capital, and it sounds like an insane amount to manage, right? I don't trade all of my accounts at the same time. I trade Apex, Top Step, FTMO, and a live account. The live account's excluded, but with Top Step, it's 5 150k accounts. With Apex, it's 10 300k accounts. With FTMO, it's just one 400k joint account. It's just one 400k on MT4 platform. And with the 10 300k accounts on Apex, I trade one for the live stream, and then I have Top Step and Apex on my laptop, which I split the Tradeovate into 2. And you can group trade them all together. So it's not like I'm trading all 9. I'm trying to execute on all of them. You can use Tradeovate software where you use the group trade, and you click one button, you're in on all of the accounts, and so on and so forth with Top Step as well. So really, I'm clicking around 3 buttons. I'm trading only Top Step and Apex. The reason I have FTMO and the live account is that I'll explain now. So when you're trading Apex, when you do submit a payout, it may take a week or 2 weeks to actually receive the payout and actually be able to continue trading them accounts. In the meantime, I don't want to just be trading one account. So that's when I actually transition over to trading FTMO, or if I'm feeling to trade the live account, I'll trade the live account as well. So there's always around 2 to 3 accounts. 3 accounts, I struggle with managing all of the accounts at the same time. So I'll just trade 2 accounts at all times.
And so there's so many gurus out there kind of teaching trading right now, right? People saying, you can make this, you can do this. How do you know who to go to, who you should learn from? Like, how do you approach that?
I mean, I always direct people to the Inner Circle trader, Michael J. Hudson. Definitely have a lot of respect for him. He doesn't really show his face, doesn't do podcasts, posts on social media. He says he's going off and then he comes back, goes off, comes back. He's done it multiple times. He is actually producing the 2024 mentorship, where he live streams his trades and breaks down live as we currently speak. He's doing that for his son at the moment. Whether he is doing it for his son or he isn't, I mean, he's going to watch his podcast most likely and see it. But I have a lot of respect for him. I would direct him in that direction. Miami traders in general, they have a bad name for themselves as gurus, and because I don't personally sell any course or anything. The only thing people can do is watch me live. Apart from that, I wouldn't direct anyone to any other traders in Miami. I mean, I am probably one of the biggest ICT traders on Instagram, apart from a few others. But yeah, definitely Inner Circle Trader 2022 mentorship, and keep studying and you'll eventually get there.
You heard it, Miami traders. You have nothing on Milo over here. So what's your favorite city you've ever been to and why?
I've been to a lot of crazy cities, and personally, I have a select few. I'm going to drop a few gems. It depends who the audience is and who's watching, but a lot of people know I've been to a lot of different places. Thailand, I don't really recommend it for anyone. Don't really like the food, and it's got a bad name for itself. It's a bit cheap, and there's not really a lot you can do there. I've been to many different places as well. I recommend Medellin. Medellin has one of the best views that I've ever seen personally, especially from the balcony. The whole of Medellin, that view is just insane. The women, some of the best in the world. Just be careful when you do go there, because you will catch some diseases if you're not wearing protection, etc. Venezuela, haven't been there yet. I want to go. Extremely dangerous. We'll have security with obviously guns, everything, bulletproof car, very dangerous place. But I like the thrill of going to places like that. I went to Cali in Colombia, don't really like it, not really my favorite place. Brazil is a very nice place as well. Brazil, yeah. In Rio, really love it. Also, Miami is one of the best places for connections. I always see myself and always find myself wanting to come back to Miami when I am in other third world countries. Miami is one of the best places in the world, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll give it to Miami.
So what's your opinion on people wanting to go to college or university to be successful? What would you tell those people?
It's a very interesting question, because I didn't really have the strongest time in school. I actually got kicked out of, in the UK, they call it secondary school, which is probably high school in the US. And I didn't last too long in school. Ended up getting into a fight, got kicked out. And then I went to sixth form, landed a place in sixth form where I was studying A-level maths, ICT. But really, I was never that interested in school, because at the end of the day, sixth form in the UK is similar to, say, university. It's like high school or college in the US, and it leads on to university. People go to university, they get 50k, 100k in debt. Then they go to apply for a job which isn't even guaranteed. Then they're left with qualifications just to prove to an employer that they're a valuable worker. And for me, that was not the route I wanted to go. 100k a year salary, 200k a year salary. I don't personally understand how anyone could live in Miami on 100k a year. does not make sense at all. And I've never been the one to work for someone or listen to instructions. I don't have an issue listening to instructions, but when it comes to like working a job and seeing that I'm actually building someone else's business and someone else's life, I can't personally do that. And that's when the shift, and I've always been doing different businesses. I mean, my first business I started was an iPhone repair business. I was repairing people's phones from my house on Facebook. I used to run Facebook ads, get them in, people repair their phones with me on a daily. I've done drop shipping. I've done a t-shirt brand business. I've done social media marketing. I've tried many different niches, and the issue with me, which I found and why I actually stuck to trading, is that I was always bouncing from business to business, right? There would be this business which I found. I was like, yeah, this is the one. A week later, I was already bounced on to the next business. You know, once you find your niche, you're like, this is it, then you have to stick to it.
So what did your parents think about you trading? Like when you started making this money, did they believe it? They're like, no, go to college. What was that like?
I feel like they always knew it was coming, but when that first initial amount of money came in, then they actually seen it was possible. Because at some points in time, they did say there was like, you know, at some point you got to stop chasing the carrot and focus on your career because it might not end up working out. And I always knew, I was like, it's get rich or die trying. You know, I'm going to work a job until I'm 40. And the idea of working a job, coming back 6 a.m., being 40, because I struggled with it being that 20 years old. I personally couldn't do it at my age. So I don't know how I could even consider doing a job at 40. And I always knew running a business was for me because I'm very good at like managing different things, and working a job is not as healthy lifestyle at all.
It's fucking horrible. So question, do you still hang around the same friends that you did back then compared to now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've only got around a group of 3 to 4 people, and that's been it. Mainly, it was just me and my friend, Ben Keswick. You may have heard of him, may have not. He was in a motorcycle accident when we was in Thailand. He was recovering as we currently speak. I will be flying back to London tomorrow to see him. And it was a very bad accident. But, I mean, I've kept my circles small. There's a lot of fake people. They try, especially when you get to the point when you're making money, people do anything to get around you, and it gets a bit annoying at sometimes, but you learn to deal with it in a certain way where it's polite, you're not disrespectful to anyone. Respect is the number one thing. You've got to show people respect, whether they're making money or they're off the street, you know, it really doesn't matter. And I keep my circle very, very tight, and I'm going to keep it that tight for as time goes.
So dating situation, girlfriend, wife, single, what's that looking like?
Personally, I don't really believe in a girlfriend, you know, especially at this age. It's just unrealistic, and at some point it's going to come to an end. It's going to get boring, and I get bored very, very quickly. After 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, you know, if she's really nice, a week, and I'm bounced on to the next one.
Yeah.
But I go through different phases, you know. Maybe I'll go on a 2-week blast where I'll just go crazy, and then I won't want to speak to a single girl for 2 weeks. I'm just locked in, working on the business. But I've come to a point now where the Monday all the way through to Friday, if I do want to do something crazy, it would be on the Saturday or the Friday night. And it wouldn't be as crazy, like I don't do drugs, I don't go to festivals, I don't really party that hard. But I'll just say go to a club, speak to a few girls, get a bit active, you know, drive fast cars. That's my type of fun, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the goal side of things, you know, I've definitely had my fair share.
So coming to, you know, we're kind of wrapping up now, but what would you say are the top 3 things that hold back ICT traders from being successful? Top 3.
Well, the top 3, the top one would be emotions. A lot of ICT traders, they struggle with emotions and getting that sorted. The number one thing, which not a lot of people, everyone says, what's the best strategy? What's this? What's that? The number one thing that people need to understand, because you could trade any strategy. I'm not saying you have to trade ICT. You could trade supply and demand. There's many traders being profitable trading other strategies. Risk management, at the end of the day, is the number one thing that's going to keep you profitable. Because with risk management, you'll never actually blow your account. If you manage your emotions and have good discipline and you stay at that original lot size or position size, whether you're trading indices or futures, and when you do take a loss, which is inevitable, you're going to take a loss at some point, you're going to half your position size and continue at half position size until you catch a winning trade. You catch a winning trade, you're back at full position size, and you're never risking more than 25 handles on NQ. And if you do risk, say, 30 handles, because that's where the valid stop is, then you can lower your position size and take that trade with half position.
So what are the key things you do before you approach an AM macro?
So the key things I personally do is that you want to mark out the key levels. Once you've marked out the key levels, you sit back, wait, and you have a look at Forex Factory. You can look at whether there is any high impact news coming out. Usually it comes out at 8:30 a.m., but in some instances you'll have PMI at 10 a.m. or you'll have some sort of high impact news at 9:45. You must wait. It's very, very important. Even if there is high impact news like FOMC in the PM session, you're automatically going to call it a day and do not trade. You do not trade before high impact news. You must wait for it to hit the market. Once price has adapted to the high impact news which has come out at that certain time, then you wait 45 seconds after that high impact news has hit the market. If the confluences and requirements have been met and you're happy on taking the trade, then take the trade. Very simple. You must wait for the high impact news to come out. After marking out the key levels, the highest probability trade model which I personally trade is the unicorn model setup. And this setup is extremely high probability. I would say realistically it gives you around a 70 to 73% win rate, personally anyway. And this model is when you look for it to sweep a pair of equal highs or a major buy side liquidity or sell side, for example, vice versa. Once it has actually swept that major high, it could sweep it multiple times. What I mean by this, you drop down to lower time frames such as the 1 minute, and that original sweep of buy side liquidity, for example, I'm doing buy side example here, the original sweep of buy side could get taken out as a short term high. This is where buy stops get taken out. This is a sweep of liquidity. After that sweep of liquidity, considering you are inside of the macro, for example, the 9:45 a.m. to 10:15 macro, then you anticipate, you don't take a trade, you anticipate, and also you want to see a high time frame bearish imbalance get filled above buy side. After that short-term high has been swept, that short-term high could get taken out on either NQ or ES. So we monitor both the pairs at the same time, looking for correlation, looking for SMTs. This is when NQ creates a short-term low, takes out that short-term high, and then also vice versa for ES is the complete opposite, and that is an SMT example. And as long as both pairs are correlated, you look for the short-term high to get taken out. You see a displacement through that short-term low. When you see that sharp displacement, I'll explain what a displacement is in brief terms. ICT explains this very well. Imagine a paddling pool full of water, all the way full, and imagine an elephant jumping into the paddling pool. All the water will then displace sharply and very fast out of the pool, and that's the same for price. You want to see a sharp displacement. You know when the displacement has happened because it's extremely sharp and happens very, very fast. Creates a bearish gap, and for entries wise, you can enter off a tap on that bearish fair value gap. As long as the stop is in a valid point, you can enter off a breaker block, an order block, or a bearish gap, or an I fair value gap. It really depends on the scenario.
All right, Milo, so give me a couple shout outs, bro. Who in the ICT space do you look up to?
So a few traders which I've seen on social media 100% is Umar Ashraf. I don't know if I said his name right, but definitely an inspiration. One of the top traders in the space on social media as we currently speak. I also seen another podcast by Riz himself. He reached out to me recently and he's called MBB Trader. He doesn't really have a social media or anything, but I've seen him. He seems to be doing well, has a lot of knowledge. Also another trader called Casper. He also is an ICT trader as well, and definitely got a lot of knowledge behind him. So there's only a select few traders which I monitor on social media, and obviously Inner Circle Trader himself.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Fucking killed it, bro.
Thank you very much, bro.
Got you, brother.
Very good.